Starting a new certification journey often feels like standing at the base of a high mountain where the peak is obscured by clouds and complex terminology. It is helpful to begin by viewing this experience as a guided path designed to bridge the gap between technical expertise and legal frameworks. By simplifying the landscape of the GIAC Law of Data Security and Investigations (GLEG) exam, the process of learning becomes much more manageable and less intimidating for the busy professional. Success in this environment is usually built upon a steady foundation of understanding how different domains of knowledge interact to create a cohesive security posture. This introductory session serves as a foundational roadmap to ensure that every hour spent studying translates into meaningful progress toward achieving your professional goals. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. In the world of professional certifications, a deep understanding of the exam structure serves as a primary tool for managing mental energy and focus during the actual test. The curriculum is typically divided into 4 major domains that cover everything from high-level governance to the granular details of computer crime and privacy laws. When a learner recognizes how these technical and legal domains are weighted, they can more effectively prioritize their study time and avoid fatigue. Typically, the exam seeks to evaluate how well an individual can apply abstract legal principles to the concrete realities of an information technology (IT) environment. What this means is that having a clear grasp of the overall layout allows for a more strategic approach to learning the vast amount of material required. There is a significant psychological advantage to walking into a testing center with a clear mental map of how the questions are likely to be distributed across the session. Most successful candidates find that they perform better when they can anticipate the rhythm and flow of the exam instead of reacting to each question with surprise. This mental preparation involves visualizing the transition from general compliance topics to the more technical aspects of electronic discovery or forensic investigations. A well-prepared professional understands that the exam is not just a test of memory, but a test of how one navigates a structured body of knowledge under time constraints. By internalizing the distribution of the domains early on, you are effectively preparing your brain to categorize information as it appears on the screen. A common mistake observed among many technical professionals is the tendency to overstudy a single niche topic that aligns with their personal interests while neglecting broader requirements. While it might be tempting to spend days mastering the intricacies of a specific forensic tool, the foundational governance requirements often carry significantly more weight on the final score. In practice, the exam is designed to ensure a well-rounded competence rather than deep expertise in just one isolated area of the law. Typically, the most successful learners are those who maintain a balanced perspective and ensure they are comfortable with the core principles of every domain. This balanced approach prevents the frustration of encountering a large section of the exam that feels completely foreign or overwhelming due to lack of preparation. The core pillars of compliance and security policy represent the bedrock upon which a strong initial score is often constructed during the testing process. These sections focus on the high-level rules that govern how an organization operates within its legal and regulatory boundaries. What this means is that mastering the fundamental concepts of policy creation and enforcement provides a safety net for the more complex, scenario-based questions later. In practice, these questions often test your ability to distinguish between mandatory laws and voluntary standards, which are essential for any governance professional. By anchoring your study in these core pillars, you create a stable platform of knowledge that supports the more specialized technical details you will encounter in later modules. Imagine the professional advantage of being able to identify the specific legal concept being tested within the first 10 seconds of reading a complex question. This level of rapid identification is usually the result of practicing pattern recognition across many different types of scenarios and legal frameworks. When you can quickly spot whether a question is asking about a contract dispute or a privacy violation, you can instantly narrow down the possible correct answers. Typically, The exam uses specific keywords and phrases that signal which domain is currently in play, allowing for a much more efficient use of your time. This ability to categorize questions on the fly is a hallmark of a prepared candidate who has spent time understanding the intent behind the curriculum. Using the concept of a legal lens allows a professional to filter out the technical distractors that often appear in complex exam questions. In many cases, a question might describe a very intricate technical environment or a specific type of software that is ultimately irrelevant to the legal answer. What this means is that you are looking past the bits and bytes to find the underlying legal duty or regulatory requirement that is being challenged. Typically, these technical details are included to test your ability to remain focused on the legal principles regardless of the specific technology being used. By applying this lens, you can more easily identify the most defensible legal choice without getting bogged down in unnecessary or distracting technical specifications. A thorough review of the broad exam objectives is a highly effective way to ensure that no single category of law catches a professional by surprise on test day. These objectives act as a comprehensive checklist of every topic that the certification body considers essential for a qualified practitioner to master. In practice, going through these objectives allows you to identify any lingering gaps in your knowledge before they become problematic during the actual exam. Most learners find that they gain a sense of security when they know they have at least a baseline familiarity with every bullet point in the official syllabus. This systematic review ensures that your preparation is complete and that you are ready to handle the full breadth of the exam's content. In a testing environment, it is common to encounter a complex case study that seems difficult to untangle at first glance, but remaining calm is often as simple as focusing on roles. Typically, these scenarios involve multiple actors such as data owners, custodians, and legal counsel, each with their own specific responsibilities and authorities. What this means is that by identifying who is responsible for what action, the correct legal answer often reveals itself through the framework of organizational accountability. A common mistake is getting lost in the narrative of the case study rather than looking at the formal governance structure being described. Focusing on these roles provides a clear path through the complexity and helps you arrive at a logical and defensible conclusion. Establishing a mental anchor by associating the exam with the intersection of law and technology helps to keep the core purpose of the certification in focus. This certification is unique because it requires a bilingual approach where one must speak the language of both the courtroom and the server room. Typically, the most successful professionals in this field are those who can translate technical risks into legal liabilities and vice versa for their stakeholders. What this means is that your study efforts should always aim to connect these two worlds, ensuring that every technical control has a corresponding legal justification. This mental anchor provides a steady point of reference that makes the vast amount of information feel much more integrated and purposeful. It is worth noting that this exam primarily rewards those who demonstrate a deep understanding of the ongoing process of legal risk management. Rather than just memorizing static facts, the goal is to show that you understand how to identify, assess, and mitigate risks within a legal framework. In practice, this involves knowing how to document your decisions so that they are defensible in the event of a future audit or lawsuit. Typically, the questions will ask you to choose the action that best protects the organization from a legal or regulatory standpoint while maintaining operational goals. What this means is that a process-oriented mindset is often more valuable for success than a purely technical or purely legal one. One highly effective way to guide your final weeks of study is to memorize the high-level weightings assigned to each of the major exam domains. These percentages are typically provided by the certification body and offer a clear indication of where the most points can be earned. For example, if you know that the privacy domain accounts for a large portion of the total score, it makes sense to ensure that your mastery of that area is particularly strong. In practice, this information allows you to spend your time where it will have the greatest impact on your final result. This strategic allocation of effort is a simple yet powerful way to move closer to a passing score with much greater efficiency. The primary goal of the entire exam is to provide an objective demonstration of your professional competence in the field of legal governance. This means that every question you answer is an opportunity to prove that you possess the judgment and knowledge required to lead an organization through complex legal challenges. Typically, the exam seeks to validate that you can not only understand the laws, but also implement them through effective policies and technical controls. What this means is that your study should always be aimed at the practical application of these concepts in a real-world business environment. Recognizing this overarching goal helps to keep your motivation high as you work through the more challenging parts of the curriculum. As our initial look at the landscape comes to an end, it is clear that navigating this exam requires a blend of strategy, balance, and focused effort. The journey ahead will involve deep dives into specific laws, forensic practices, and privacy requirements. But the foundations we have discussed today will remain your constant guide. A helpful next step for anyone beginning this process is to obtain the official candidate handbook and review the administrative details provided there. This document typically contains essential information regarding the testing process, identification requirements, and the most current version of the exam objectives. Moving forward with a warm and confident mindset will ensure that you are well prepared to master the many interesting topics that this certification has to offer.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit BareMetalCyber.com.